today's video, I am talking about some of my favourite books, and they're a brief of like their storyline and why I love them so much. So they are in a bit of a particular order, going from the books that I started to read first and going to more recent. This was a really hard choice because there are so many books that I love, but these ones I could reread like a few times. Like, you know how I watch the same TV series like over and over again, like Friends, The Big Bang, and just lots of other TV series. I'm the same with books. I could reread them, and some of them I think I have reread a couple of times just because I just love them. So the first book I just fell in love with is this one. It is called Born Free by Joy Adamson. This is based on a true story about a woman who basically, the rehabilitation of her pet, that's the only way I can describe it. There's basically, to keep it short and sweet, just in case you want to read it, she found some baby lion cubs and kept them as her own. This one at the front is called Elsa. Elsa, Elsa, Elsa. So when people say Elsa, I don't think of Frozen. I don't think of Disney. I think of this beautiful creature here. Yeah, so she basically teaches Elsa to be wild again, because she was very much kept as a pet, I would say. That's the only way I can describe it. If you have read it and know the story, please feel free to give me better wording. But yeah, so I don't want to say why, but they had to make Elsa wild again, like teach her how to hunt, and it does have a happy ending for the lion, this one here. And then there's another book called Living Free, which is kind of not similar, but it's like the second story from this, which is also based on a true story. Now, I fell in love with this book because I was obsessed with lions back when I was a kid, and I wanted to be Joy Adamson. I wanted to be have a pet lion, but that is book number 1111. I don't actually know where you can buy this. This was a gift. So I'm not sure where you could buy it. You could probably buy it off of Amazon. This isn't, by the way, again, my overthinking. I'm not sponsoring any of these books. It's just, if you're a bookworm like me and like to read, I'm happy to share the information that I have. So that's book 1. Book 2 I read when I was a teenager. I actually read it for a kind of, I saw it and I read it just for like the book cover, and it was the first book that ever got me into, like, because you know I like sort of Vampire Diaries original through a different perspective, she's like, oh, that person wasn't bad, they just did this because of this, and she learned that when she was a guardian angel for herself. But I have read this book a couple of times as a teenager. I haven't read it as an adult, but I can't get rid of it. It was the first book that ever got me into fantasy, and it was nice because the text, I struggle with small text, but the text, you can't really tell from the camera, but it's like bigger than normal storybooks. So there's that. Yeah. I won't read the blurb. I was going to, but the surname's really hard to pronounce. Okay. The next one. You'll know this one. Bolin by Lauren Kate. You probably recognise the tattoo. So this book is basically about a girl who is seen as a troubled teen, and you'll learn why I did the quote mark. You'll know why I did that if you read the book. A troubled teen that gets sent to a school for like troubled kids, and she meets a boy, and she kind of gets like deja vu. It's like, how do I know you? I know you. And yeah, I read like half of it, and then I stopped reading it because I think I was reading a different book, and I was going through like some depressing times when I started reading this. It was when my grandfather became terminally ill, unfortunately, so I stopped reading it. But then I got back into it, and I read it, and then I read it again, and I got more books after this one. Yeah, I remember buying this book. I was with my stepmom, so I'll read the blurb. Instant, intense, weirdly familiar. The moment Luce looks at Daniel, she knows she has never felt like this before, except she can't shake the feeling that she has. And with him, a boy she doesn't remember ever setting eyes on. Will her attempt to find out why enlighten her or destroy her? Yeah. So there's that one. And again, the text is bigger. Okay. Right. So the next one. I'm surprised that I liked this book so much because I was actually reading it for my GCSE English. If you don't know what GCSEs is, it's the in school, because we have year 7, 8, 9, 10 and 11. Year 11 is when we do our exams from school, when we're like 16. And in English, there's English language and English literature. I just did English language, but we did it on this book here. We had to basically write a report on like the different writing techniques that the author used, which her name is Andrea Ashworth, and the book is called Once in a House on Fire. And it's basically, without going into it, it's basically was like definitely, because that's how I bought it. This is this one. Next one is called If You Could See Me Now by Cecilia Ahern, or Ahern. I'll say Ahern. So this book is basically about a woman who is very like structured, very, I don't want to say dull, but a little bit. And her son gets an imaginary friend, and she then starts to see the imaginary friend, and he like helps her with life, but she doesn't know that he's an imaginary friend. I love this book so freaking much. Like, I'm tempted to reread it again because I've read it a few times already and I just love it, but I fear that I'm very emotional compared to when I was reading this, and I honestly think I would start to cry if I finished this book in the way I am now. But it's such a wonderful read. It is so beautiful, it is so mystical and just wonderful. And the book's massive, so you can like hold it in the plane, or it's just, I just love it. And she also wrote the book P.S. I Love You. So this book was a gift, so I don't actually know where it was bought, but yeah. Oh, such a good book. I'm tempted to read it. Maybe I could read this book to you guys if you're interested. Let me know. I will read one of these books to you guys in a video, but I want the vote on which book you want me to read. I won't read the ones that I'm currently reading because I want to be able to like read it and see if it's suitable for YouTube, but those ones are suitable for YouTube. Okay, the next book, again, I have reread this because basically I was talking to a friend and colleague when we used to work together about how I wanted to write a book about like vampires and werewolves, and she recommended me Kelly Armstrong's Bitten. It's such a good read if you're into like werewolf sorts of things. It is so good. And it says on the back, an addictive, deeply enjoyable thrill ride on the frontier of the feral and feminine. Yeah. So I borrowed her book, Bitten. I read it, fell in love with it. I was like, oh my god, I need to know what happens next. And I was actually super sad that I didn't have this book. So my current boyfriend, he bought me this copy. I can't remember if it was for Christmas or my birthday. He bought it for me a couple of years ago now, and I reread it and I finished it, and I was just like, I need the next book. I'll show you the next book in a second. The book Bitten I probably wouldn't read because there's some chapters, not like chapters, a couple of paragraphs in a chapter where it's a bit adult. If you catch my drift. Okay, we're nearly there, guys. So this next book, I got this book because someone, again, I used to work with, it was at a different dental practice. She was a massive bookworm like me, and she recommended it to a colleague, and then I asked them what book they were talking about, the shop and I was like, this is meant to be. Colleen Hoover's Verity. And basically about an author who is trying to write a novel for a different author that is unwell. And she stays with the author's husband and their kid and like gets to know the family and everything. But there is a massive plot twist at the end that had me gasping. Like, I don't normally react to books so much. I read this in a day. That's how addicted I was to it. It was a weekend and I read it in a day because I was hooked. I literally woke up in the morning, read it, fell asleep, finished it, and I told my colleague and I was like, what the hell? I was not expecting that. I would recommend this book. My best friend, well, one of my best friends, is a massive bookworm like me too. She's also trying to write her own book, and when she does finish it, I'll be the first to buy it. But yeah, I can't remember. I think I recommended the book to her, and she was like, "What?" Yeah, Colleen Hoover. I haven't read any other Colleen Hoover books yet because I'm literally reading 3 books at once at the moment, and then after that I need to read a book from the Fallen series and then buy more books. Christmas is coming, I need to finish these books and then buy more. Okay, so the next one is the second book of the Women of the Underworld series, which is from Kelly Armstrong. It's called Stolen. This book I bought myself, but it's literally the second book from the Women of the Underworld. I'm not very far in it, as you can see, but I love this book as well. I thought I would show you guys. So that's one book I'm reading. This one you've probably heard me quote a few times in other videos, but ACOTAR, I've read A Court of Thorns and Roses in a week, and now I am on A Court of Mist and Fury. Yeah, I love it so far. Yeah, the characters, yeah, everything. The character in the first book went through like a traumatic event, and her trying to get through it in this book, it's interesting. Yeah, this book will get you from Team Tamlin to Team Riesland very quickly. And that's all I'll say, ladies. But yeah, that's the other book I'm trying to read, and you guys have probably seen me read the third book in a couple of videos. It's I can't even remember what it's called. I am going to finish it, but it's just not very gripping for me, but I'm not sure if it's because I'm more into fantasy and that's why, because that one's more like a murder mystery, which I will watch like documentaries, not like I watched the documentaries, not the books as such. But Verity, the book, there were times where it was intense, and I was like actually scared. I was like, I'm literally imagining this in my head, and I'm more frightened compared to like the Terrifier, the terrifying clown. But those are my favourite books. As I said, there are so many books that I really like the Harry Potter series. I've watched all the films and I've got up to the 5th book just because, again, I'm reading so many books at once. But I will finish that series, and obviously the Fallen series, Women of the Underworld, ACOTAR. Like, there's so many books that was so hard to pick my favourite. But just yet. I will wait for Christmas to buy books. But yeah, let me know which book you want me to read. I probably will read one of the first like 4 or 5, not of any recent ones, because of the adult paragraphs in them. They're not like very common in the book, but yeah, I don't want to get banned from YouTube. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope to see